page here. Ooh, what's that? Okay, so last year, if you think back to year 10, but I'm sure half of you guys probably don't even remember what happened 5, 10, 15, 20 minutes ago. Okay, that's okay. Because last year we did start teaching you guys this topic of sequences. All right, they're sequences, probably a word that you've seen before, that you've heard at some point in time in your 16 years of your life, or 17. But obviously, it's related to something to do with numbers and some sort of pattern happening with those numbers, and then listing out those numbers. I'll tell you this: if you actually understood data and some of the concepts behind it, this stuff should be pretty easy. Okay, so if I were Zaid and I were Zach and I were Ella and Miss Stevens, I would close my laptop so you can hear what I'm talking about properly, all the way. There you go. All right, Ella, close it, please. All right, make sure you're writing notes for this. So sequences are split into two types. Okay, there's two different sequences that we're going to assess in year 11. In year 12, it'll be a similar concept, but obviously at a higher level. All right, so the first type of sequence that we're going to look at is arithmetic, and the second type of sequence is your geometric. But for this session, we're just going to focus on the first type only, the arithmetic sequences. Okay, so sequences refer to, like I said, some sort of number pattern. So if you want to put maybe a little bit of a little note here, sequences just means a number pattern. Okay, when we're talking about number patterns, that means that there's some sort of maybe a formula, or there's some sort of explanation as to why the numbers are behaving the way they are. And when it says there's a pattern, it means that there's a consistent pattern. So the numbers aren't necessarily random. Okay, there's a way to predict what's going to happen with the numbers, or a way to explain what's happening with these numbers. In arithmetic sequences, this is what we're going to look at. So what is the definition of an arithmetic sequence? Okay, oops. So we'll talk about definition, we're talking about the meaning of it. We're going to look at finding your common difference. So this is something that you probably should remember, common difference. Okay, general term for the nth term, that's another word that we went through last year. Graphing your arithmetic sequences, and a recurrence relation. So these are words that you would have come across last year. And it's the same for geometric, but slightly different approach and way that we explain it. So let's get straight into it. First page of sequences, right here. So here is a definition of what a sequence means. So it's basically a set of numbers that is in an ordered list, right, or ordered list of numbers. So you can think of a sequence as an ordered list, or it's just a list, a bunch of numbers. Okay, but remember, with the sequence, there's got to be some sort of pattern happening. Yeah. So here is a sequence. For example, 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay. Whenever you're counting in single units, that's a sequence. Whenever you count by twos, that's a sequence. Whenever you count from 10 and you go down, you're counting down, that's also a sequence. Okay. So in every set of numbers, okay, that's what we refer to as a sequence when you're looking at a set of numbers. Obviously, this set, 1, 2, 3, 4, is different to this set, 1, 3, 2, 4. Okay, so think of a sequence as an ordered list, just a bunch of numbers. Now, when we look at a sequence, okay, we need to be able to identify what are the numbers in that sequence. So the idea behind having a list of numbers is that you can look at it, identify the value for a specific number. So for example, what is the second number? What is the 20th number? What is the 50th number? Okay, and in order to identify, or help us identify sequences, okay, we use these notations. So notation just basically means how we identify or show it. So when we write S, okay, for the sequence, S refers to what's the value, and this little n refers to the spot in the sequence. So if I'm looking at, for example, S3, that's saying what is the value of the third number. Okay, if I'm looking at S7, what is the value of the seventh number? Okay. So that's basically what we use when we use notation. So for example, in this sequence, okay, you can see what the value of S1 is. Okay, so if you're looking at S1, it's looking at this number here, the first number, S1. Okay, S2 would be the number 3. S3 would be the number 5. S4 is the number 8. S5 is 13, and S6 is the number 21. Okay. Sometimes I've seen this done before. You might see it as N1, N2, N3, N4. It all means the same thing. Okay. They're basically just identifiers of where it is, or where the number is in a set of numbers, or in a sequence. So S1, S2, S3, number 1, number 2, number 3. Okay, that's what that's saying. Here, it's asking us to write down what is the value of S4. So if you look at our numbers, this is S1, S2, S3, S4 is right there. So the value of S4 is 8. So you would write here, S4 is equal to 8. I think in the textbook, sometimes you'll see this little number here, they refer to it as a subscript. Okay, so I'll put that in there somewhere. So I'll put that here. This little number is called a subscript. Oh, it's a little number. Okay, they refer to it as a subscript. What do you guys think if there's a big number? Oh, bad spelling. What do you think this would be if I go S2? What's this number called? Anyone know? It's in whenever you're typing something in Word, it's called a superscript. Okay, not really referred to in this topic, but just be mindful that that little number, they might refer to it as a subscript. Okay, in your textbook. All right, this one here. Tegan, come get a notes, please. Part B. Okay, we can see here that S1 is 43. So this is S1. 35 it's S2, S3, S4, S5, S6, S7, S8. Now you don't actually have to do this with every sequence, but it does help to identify what you're looking at. So if I ask Jordan, what would S6 be, Jordan? What's the value of S6?
21.
Good. So S6, actually 21. What do you mean? 21.
Oh, I do have the bottom one.
Yeah, sorry, the bottom one.
Oh, 25.
Good, 25. Thank you. So S6 would be this value right here. So the value of S6 is 25. Okay. So that's what you call identifying the value of a certain number in the sequence. Okay. That's pretty straightforward, I think. Let's go to the next part. Okay, I think that's actually it for that. So what we'll do now, okay, is I think it's already straight to exercises. So we're going to look at 8A. It only says question 6, but I would like you to do more than that. Okay. We'll just look at the questions. Right, so chapter 8A. All right, so for 8A, you're only doing question 6, but I'm going to ask you guys to do a little bit more than that. Okay, here we go. All right, so question 6, what's question 6 here? Okay, so we'll do question 6, but I'd also like you to do, we'll skip question 1. We'll do question 3 and question 4, but just a heads up on how these are done. Because sometimes you'll come across a question in the SAC that's not necessarily numbers, but it could be patterns, okay? So I just want to show you guys real quick how that works. So for example, this one right here, this question right here, when it asks you to draw the next pattern of the dots, okay, have a look at the pattern, okay, and understand what's happening to it. So for example, pattern 1 has got 1 dot. Pattern 2 has got 3 dots. 4 dots, and then pattern 3 has 7 dots. So what's it going up by? 3. So that means pattern 4 is going to have how many? 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 dots. Okay, so that's what that will look like. The table below. Okay, listening, guys. The table below is basically the same as a table of values that we would have done in data. So that's pretty straightforward. Yeah,
When do we get our last week?
I'll tell you after this. Okay. So the first, also the thing that you need to be able to do with some of these questions. So we're doing 3 and 4. You need to be able to tell us how do we generate the next number. Okay. So what you're doing here is you're just looking at the set of numbers, and you're telling me how much is it going up by, how much is it going down by. Is it multiplying? Is it dividing by a certain number? Okay. So that's what we're doing for these questions. So just question 3, 4, and 6 for now. That's what we're doing.